Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, I'm going to share a story that will completely change how you think about life and death. This is the incredible account of a cardiac surgeon who resigned after 18 years of practice because of 3 cases that defied everything medical science believes to be true. Imagine this. What if I told you that a patient's heart stopped beating for 75 minutes, showed 0 brain activity, had their death certificate signed, and then suddenly came back to life with absolutely no side effects? This isn't science fiction, folks. This is documented medical reality. If you're fascinated by mysterious and unexplained medical phenomena like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what I'm about to tell you today might just change your perspective on the very nature of human existence. This story comes from Dr. Michael Patterson, who spent 18 years as a cardiac surgeon at Riverside Medical Center in Charleston, West Virginia. During his career, he performed over 3,000 heart surgeries and witnessed countless medical miracles. But last month, he submitted his resignation. The reason? 3 cases that shattered everything he thought he knew about the boundary between life and death. Dr. Patterson was no rookie. As chief of cardiac surgery at a level 1 trauma facility, he'd seen every kind of heart condition imaginable. Massive heart attacks, complex birth defects, traumatic injuries, cases where patients arrived essentially dead and walked out weeks later completely restored. But nothing prepared him for what was about to happen. It all began on a cold February evening in 2023. Dr. Patterson was finishing his rounds when his pager buzzed at 11:47 p.m. The message was urgent. Cardiac arrest. Incoming trauma. Need you in OR3 immediately. The paramedics wheeled in Anthony Yale, a 37-year-old construction supervisor from Ohio. His wife Linda had found him in their bedroom that morning around 4 a.m., breathing abnormally and completely unresponsive. When she couldn't wake him, she called 911. The paramedics estimated he'd been down for at least 20 minutes before they found him. Now, here's something crucial to understand. After 20 minutes without circulation, most patients suffer irreversible brain damage. But Dr. Patterson had learned never to give up too early. They worked on Anthony for the next 4 hours. His heart would stabilize briefly, then crash again. They administered every medication in their protocol, shocked his heart multiple times, even considered emergency bypass surgery. But each intervention provided only temporary improvement. At 4:17 a.m., Dr. Patterson checked Anthony's pulse himself. Nothing. The monitors showed a flat line. His pupils were fixed and dilated, with no response to light or pain. His skin was cold, and rigor mortis was beginning to set in. By every medical standard, Anthony Yale was dead. Dr. Patterson went to deliver the devastating news to Anthony's family. Linda and their teenage son were waiting in the hospital corridor. "I'm very sorry," he said gently. "We did everything we could, but Anthony didn't make it." But here's where our story takes an impossible turn. At approximately 5:30 a.m., Dr. Patterson was in his office completing Anthony's death certificate when his surgical technician, James, burst through the door, his face white with shock. "Dr. Patterson, you need to get to OR3 immediately. There's something wrong with the monitors." "What do you mean wrong?" "The cardiac monitor. It's showing a heartbeat, a strong one." "James, we disconnected him from the monitors an hour ago." "That's the thing, sir. We never disconnected him. We were waiting for the family to say goodbye, and the monitor just started beeping." Dr. Patterson ran to the operating room, convinced there had to be a technical malfunction. What he found there challenged everything he understood about the boundary between life and death. Anthony Yale was sitting up on the surgical table, fully conscious, looking around the room with clear, alert eyes. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice weak but perfectly coherent. "What happened to me?" Dr. Patterson stood frozen in the doorway, unable to process what he was seeing. This was medically impossible. He had personally verified Anthony's death 75 minutes earlier. No pulse, no brain activity, body temperature dropping, early rigor mortis. He had been dead by every medical definition known to science. Dr. Williams, the anesthesiologist, checked Anthony's vital signs with trembling hands. Blood pressure 110/70, heart rate 78, oxygen saturation 98%, temperature 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. All completely normal. "How long was I out?" Anthony asked, sitting up further. Dr. Patterson approached him slowly. "Anthony, I need to be completely honest with you. You were declared dead at 4:17 this morning. That was over an hour ago. Your heart had stopped, you had no brain activity, and your body temperature had dropped significantly." Anthony processed this information with remarkable calm. "Dead? Like, actually dead? By every medical standard I know, yes. But I'm here now," he said simply. "Actually, I feel better than I have in weeks." Dr. Patterson performed a complete neurological assessment. His reflexes were normal, his memory intact, his speech clear. There was absolutely no indication that he had been clinically dead for over an hour. When asked about his experience during that time, his account was remarkable. "I remember floating above the room. I could see you working on me. I could see Linda crying in the waiting room. I wanted to tell her I was okay, but I couldn't. I saw a bright light and I had a choice. I could go towards it, or I could come back. I thought about Linda and our son, and I chose to come back. I heard Linda's voice talking to me, even though you told me I was gone. She was telling me about our son's upcoming graduation, about the trip we had planned. She said she wasn't ready to let me go." The timeline was incredible. Linda had been in Anthony's room at approximately 5:25 a.m. The monitors showed his first heartbeat at 5:32 a.m. Dr. Patterson immediately ordered a full battery of tests: EKG, echocardiogram, blood work, CT scans, MRIs. If Anthony had somehow survived clinical death, they needed to understand how and why. The results came back not just normal, but better than normal. His heart function appeared optimal. His brain scan showed no signs of oxygen deprivation injury. His blood work indicated perfect organ function. The word of Anthony's case spread quickly through the hospital. Colleagues from every department wanted answers. How does someone come back from clinical death? The hospital's ethics committee convened an emergency meeting. Everyone wanted to understand what they had missed, but Dr. Patterson knew they hadn't missed anything. Case 2. Walter Williams, the funeral home revival. 6 months later, another impossible case occurred. Walter Williams, a 78-year-old man from nearby Lexington, was under hospice care for end-stage kidney disease. His hospice nurse found him unresponsive at home. The coroner examined him and declared him dead at 9 p.m. His body was prepared for transport to the funeral home, but at 11:45 p.m., a funeral home employee called the hospital in panic. Walter Williams had begun breathing during embalming preparation. He was alive, conscious, and asking for water. Walter was rushed back to the hospital where Dr. Patterson examined him. Like Anthony, his vital signs were completely normal. His kidney function, which had been failing for months, showed remarkable improvement. "How do you feel, Mr. Williams?" Dr. Patterson asked. "Better than I have in years, Doc. Is it true they thought I was dead?" Walter's case was equally baffling. Complete recovery after being declared dead, feeling better than he had in years, and like Anthony, he reported experiencing awareness during his period of clinical death. Case 3. Velma Thomas, the 17-hour return. The final case that convinced Dr. Patterson to leave cardiac surgery occurred 8 months later. Velma Thomas, a 59-year-old woman, suffered a massive heart attack at home. Despite aggressive intervention, she was placed on life support with no brain activity on EEG. After 17 hours of intensive care with no signs of improvement, her family made the difficult decision to withdraw life support. Velma was declared clinically dead, and arrangements were made for organ donation. Dr. Patterson was in surgery when it happened, but received an urgent call. Velma Thomas had woken up. He found her sitting up in her ICU bed, talking to her son, asking for something to eat. "How long was I out?" she asked. "Mrs. Thomas, you were clinically dead for 17 hours. "That's a long time to be gone," she said with remarkable composure. "I remember seeing my late husband. He told me it wasn't my time yet, that I needed to come back to take care of our grandson. Dr. Patterson began researching what's known in medical literature as Lazarus Syndrome or auto-resuscitation. The phenomenon was first described in 1982, but cases are very rare and poorly understood. What troubled him most wasn't just their medical impossibility, but the consistent pattern of complete recovery. These patients didn't return as vegetables or with brain damage. They came back fully intact, often reporting feeling better than before their death. He found at least 38 documented cases since 1982. The duration of clinical death ranged from minutes to hours. In every case where neurological testing was performed, patients showed no signs of brain damage despite prolonged periods without oxygen. These cases haunted Dr. Patterson. He found himself second-guessing every death declaration. When a patient flatlined, he waited longer before calling time of death. His colleagues noticed the change in his behavior. "Mike, you can't save everyone," Dr. Chen told him, after he worked on a cardiac arrest patient for 3 hours, past the point where most doctors would have stopped. "How do I know when to stop?" he asked her. "How do I know they're really gone?" His relationships with colleagues became strained. His surgical schedule was quietly reduced. He found himself isolated, viewed as the doctor who had become too invested in unexplainable phenomena. After witnessing Velma's case, Dr. Patterson realized he could no longer practice cardiac surgery with confidence. How could he make life and death decisions when he no longer understood where the line between life and death actually lay? He submitted his resignation in March 2024. "I've seen 3 people come back from clinical death. Not near death, not almost dead, actually dead by every medical standard we have. And they all came back perfectly intact. That's not supposed to be possible." Some researchers theorize that Lazarus Syndrome is caused by pressure buildup in the chest during CPR, which is suddenly released when resuscitation efforts stop. But this doesn't explain cases like Velma's, where the patient was declared dead 17 hours after CPR had ended. Others suggest our methods for determining death are inadequate, that we're missing subtle signs of life. But Dr. Patterson performed those examinations himself. These patients were dead by every measure he knew. The most unsettling possibility is that consciousness and life exist in ways we don't yet understand. If patients can observe while clinically dead, if they can interact with deceased relatives, what does that say about human consciousness? Anthony Yale returned to his construction job and has had no medical issues since his incident. Walter Williams lived for 3 more healthy years before dying peacefully in 2022. Velma Thomas continues to live independently and cares for her grandson, just as she was told to do during her experience. All 3 asked Dr. Patterson the same question. Why us? Why were we chosen to return when others aren't? He doesn't have an answer. Dr. Patterson now works as a family physician in rural Montana, treating common ailments and avoiding cases that involve life and death decisions. But the 3 cases he witnessed continue to haunt him. "The heart that beat after death will haunt me for the rest of my life," he says. Not because it was terrifying, but because it revealed how little we truly understand about the mystery of human existence. These cases raise profound questions about our understanding of death, consciousness, and what it means to be alive. How many patients have been declared dead who might have returned if we had waited longer? How many families have been told their loved one was gone when they might have been experiencing something we don't yet understand? So, there you have it, folks, one of the most mysterious phenomena in medical science. Lazarus Syndrome challenges our most basic assumptions about life and death. Science hasn't fully explained these events yet, and maybe the boundary between consciousness and death is different than we imagine. What do you think about this incredible story? Have you heard of similar cases? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this fascinating and want to hear more unexplained medical mysteries, scientific enigmas, and incredible true stories from the world of medicine, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. We bring you new, mind-blowing content every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourselves.